Well, here we are playing fast food franchise and a few more rolls of the dice. Black ends up landing on chicken. Now, chicken's had 19, I believe, 2, 4, 6, 7, 19 of these, which means it comes to $209,000. He's got $189,000 in hand. He's got $20,000 more he's got to raise by selling stuff off. This looks like it's the end of the line for the black player, or the beginning of the end at least. He's not. Sometimes death is rather painful and slow in this game, but chicken's a pretty potent opponent in this particular case, and it looks like they're going to be able to probably finish the black player off pretty quickly, as long as yellow doesn't land on something kind of painful, like family style, right away. We'll start ripping things up and paying those costs, though. As a brief, for what it's worth, I did a quick calculation on where chicken is. They're at about $800,000 if they ripped everything up and sold it off at this point. So that's the other route to victory, is they could just sit and kind of accumulate more and more production. They've got 300 and something thousand in cash, plus a lot of property. They're going to just keep playing it. You just got to keep an eye on which way you're going. Are you going to kill somebody off, or do you have enough to just end the game and say, I sell out and I've got my $1 million and I can retire to the Riviera or whatever. All right, on with yellow. And another blow for the black player. They drew a minimum wage rise, as every corporation has to pay $1,000 for each franchise down on the board. Well, obviously red has more franchises on the board, had to pay more money, but black had to rip things up to do it. And another family style had to go, as they're just getting weaker and weaker, and now, maybe burgers could slip out if it gets lucky or whatever. Dangerous, dangerous situation. Speaking of steak, on the next turn, black slams around, hits the steak and salad, $50,000 for two of them. Had to pay that. It's just getting smaller and smaller. He's still holding all his companies. He doesn't want to sell those markets off at the big loss that they're going to be, especially things like Dark and Gooey with its, huge $74,000 loss there. But even over here on ice cream, it just doesn't seem like it's worth taking that penalty, especially when it wouldn't have helped terribly much anyhow. But family style is becoming a weaker and weaker thing, and now steak and salad is free to escape. Landing on investment opportunity, perfect time to buy another Burger Brothers market. Spreading out and not just, opening up more locations, but increasing the chances of getting hit. Hey, big cost, $50,000, but that's okay. He's just trying to finish black off here. He thinks that's going to be faster than trying to get to the $1 million. And another hit here on steak and salad. Black slams into a $50,000 again. Another growth for them. Pretty much it feels like every little thing is just going to slam them further and further. They're down to just their markets. They've got 5 markets in the 3 corporations. One more hit, it should take them out. They've been losing, 4 tokens per hit, right? But, well, we'll see. It's pretty hopeless at this point. It's kind of like watching a cripple drag himself to the poisoned water that you've set aside for him. But, I like to finish things up, so we'll watch this. So this time around, yellow ended up buying another ad. They were about $30,000 if they ripped everything up and didn't pay their ads from the $1 million. So chances are next time around they will be making that difference anyway and be able to win on the next skim around. On the other hand, if somebody else, if they get landed on again and black doesn't win or doesn't go out of business on that, there's a pretty good chance that yellow will be able to convert it to a win on their turn anyway. So the yellow player landed on an event card after a taste test that went to Dark and Gooey Chocolate. Ooh, $5,000. Baby bust. The number of teenagers goes down. All corporations except any with only corporations with only franchises on gray squares has to pay $20,000 to remove a franchise. Well, that's a quick hit for them, where they had to pay $40,000. Actually, charge them for Burger Brothers as well, to prevent from losing anything. And actually, this is kind of cool for the black player because he doesn't get hurt by this. He's only on gray squares, so he's able to survive this. Otherwise, if it did hit him, he'd be in a lot of trouble because he'd have to rip things up. He took a good credit opportunity, throw himself $100,000. It's not going to win him the game probably, but it gives him a chance at least to invest somewhere and maybe make some money. Where he's at right now, even if he gets landed on, nothing's going to come good. So he's got to expand to have even a shot of doing anything. The string of luck that would be required to come back from this position, though, is phenomenal, and there's just no chance of it happening. So in a real game, you'd probably concede at this point because 3 of the players are off, doing something short while you guys finish up or whatever. Or you're stuck and boned anyway. No idea what you'd end up doing then. Well, this should be it. We'll see. But black just landed here on Burger Brothers. Yellow's actually expanded the burgers when they went their investment opportunity. They drew an event that gave them some additional money. But now black's going to go here. They're going to get the cash from start, but there isn't much there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12,000. They can't even afford that with their ads. They're going to have to rip everything up and then try to see what they can come up with. So let's say they get rid of all their ads. Now they got $12,000. And again, this is kind of pathetic, but they've got to pay 20 of that for this, and that means they owe 8 more. So they get 2 back. All right, now they've paid off their start position, but now they have this Burger Brothers with 3 burgers. They owe $42,000. Well, they don't have that straight up. They have 19. But let's see. 42 minus 19 is going to be 23,000. That sounds like it's just 2 more family styles, right? So, not quite. 2 family styles is 24, so they'll end up with $1 left, and then Burgers gets to grow. Well, Yellow went around, hit an ice cream ad, but with the cash they pulled in for going through start, even after hitting the ice cream and paying the big $4,000, they're still going to break $1 million if they pull up all their ads and sell everything before they pay for them and start, and then sell everything off. So the game is over at this point, and it really, was just a matter of, maybe, which way do you win first? Do you win because you crush black and they land on you, or do you win because you've accumulated enough cash? And Yellow wasn't terribly careful even here. They were buying extra franchises where they could, etc. But you do accumulate a lot of money once you start getting a big collection of franchises in a company with a lot of markets, just by going around start, as it were. This is actually the way that things like Whole Donuts and Pizza Pavilion win. They don't knock somebody out of the game. They're big money here. 160,000, maybe 176,000 for that. That's not bad. At 20 here, 100,000. That's getting pretty weak. Ice cream, I've never really seen ice cream win because they just can't produce. They're looking at 80, 104,000 max. It's really tough to crank that out, and they don't have the cheap tokens that Whole Donut has, so they usually can't expand all over the place quite as quickly. They also don't have as many markets by a slight amount, right? That's 5. Oh no, they have an extra market, so they can actually get a multiplier there. That's kind of nice. I don't know. I've never seen ice cream win. I've seen people win with donuts, actually. I'm not sure what the difference is. Anyway, you can see that it definitely turns into this kind of weird situation where, a bunch of people could start the game. They play for a while. It's a fun game for a while. And then everybody gets knocked out except maybe 2 or 3 players. And then it drags for a while. It's not terribly exciting. I like it as a 2-player game still. But it does kind of give you a certain feeling of, gosh, it would kind of suck if I was playing in a group of 5 people and 3 players got knocked out, and they went and started some cool 3-player game that might take a while. This is kind of a painful situation because of that, where it could actually knock you out. It's not painful the way, say, Titan is, where you could get stuck for hours in a game that you don't even have a chance of winning. And 3 players are knocked out of the game and off somewhere else. Two-player game, you can always concede, obviously, but the three-player game, it feels a little funny to bow out. It could disrupt the game, and in this one, I think it could as well. If there's a clear leader, it's very easy. Anyway, I'm going to clean this up, send this video up, and then give you guys the review for it.